What's up? This is Joe from the Buckeye Cast coming at you once again with your daily Buckeye Blitz. A little later on this Thursday, August 18th, 2022. Sorry for that. Life and shit gets in the way. So apologies. Hopefully you will accept them. Talk about a thirsty Thursday. Is it time to pour something brown over some ice yet? Jesus. It reminds me of an old Hank Jr. song. I like my whiskey on ice and my women on fire. So you can figure out the rest. Anyway, check it out. Google Hank Jr. That's our one side note for the day. Let's jump into this 5-minute podcast now. As always, please hit the video, hit subscribe, find me on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, wherever, and comment. Leave a comment or ask me a question. I'll always respond. You can count on that. All right. Today's 5-minute podcast is about my camp questions. The questions I have that we witnessed in the 2021 season. Have these issues been ironed out? This is going to be like a series of 3 or 4, maybe 5 podcasts. I don't know. First one though today is red zone offense, and specifically short yardage offense, and those two kind of go hand in hand, right? A lot of times if you're going 3rd and 2, it's probably in the red zone or thereabout, or goal line situations. So this was a major issue last year, and one glaring commonality that I found throughout our issues, especially in big games, specifically like Oregon, Penn State, Michigan, those big games where the talent is close to equal. This one issue stood out to me the most, and that was offensive penalties by the line, mostly by the offensive line. I mean, that's typically where you're going to get your offensive penalties, right? I mean, it's usually the 5 guys up front, right? But this is like one of my pet peeves, like all time. Penalties, especially on offense. Defense, a lot of times those penalties are aggression, but on offense, these are just mental errors and lapses in execution and concentration. I have some numbers for you to back up my point. We averaged 6.5 penalties per game last year. That's 80th. That was 80th in the country. To factor where that lies, to be in the top 20, you need to be down at a 4.9. Okay, so keep that in mind. 6.5, horrible. That's combined offense and defense, though. Okay, so keep that in mind. The penalty yards per game, we're 89th in the country with 59.2 penalty yards per game. That shit adds up, man, especially when you're in the red zone, in goal line, and in short yardage, 3rd and 2s, 4th and 1s, shit like that. So I talked about big games. Let me talk to you about penalties in big games. Oregon game, 8 penalties. Tulsa game, 8 penalties. Remember, that was a tight one. Nebraska, another tight one, 8 penalties. All right, that's combined offense and defense. But when we drill into the offensive penalties here, Penn State, 10 total fucking penalties, 7 on offense, 5 of them were false starts, and then two illegal snap calls on Luke Whippler, the center. What the hell is that? I never even seen that in an illegal snap before. So 6 different players were flagged on the offense in that game. You might remember the big false start penalty on Travion. It was late in the 3rd on 4th and an inch, 4th and 1, at like inside the 1. They were right at the goal line of the Nits, and they had to end up settling for a 23-yard field goal. Could have put the game away. Shit like that. And then Ryan Day after the game commenting on the penalties, we kind of expected some of this. What we didn't expect was some of those penalties and just lack of execution. Talking again, short yardage and red zone. But you're playing against better competition. You got to be on point. The little things show up. So awesome to learn from this and still get the win. Yeah, we didn't learn shit from it because just a few weeks later against Michigan, we had 10 total penalties. Yeah. And 7 on the offense again. So our 2 biggest games in conference, we had 7 penalties on the offense and 10 total as a team. Again, 5 false starts, 3 alone by DeJuan Jones in the Michigan game. You can think back to multiple, and I rewatch every game about 100 times in the offseason, so this is fresh in my mind. But I remember the 3rd and goal at the Michigan 3. I think it was probably first quarter, something like that. A false start, to move back to the 8, and we end up having to kick a field goal. Again, Ryan Day said after the game, the penalties were frustrating. They got us off schedule on offense. When you look at the games we've struggled, that's gotten us off schedule, meaning the penalties, obviously. So, yeah, big problem. This is one of my issues that I need to see cleaned up from last year to this year. And they have all of fall camp to do it. I know that the O-line is probably, especially DeJuan and Luke Whippler, they're seasoned now. They're, veterans and probably on their last season with Ohio State. So this has to be cleaned up. This is my number 1 camp question. So stay tuned. I'll hit you with some more over the next coming weeks as we get geared up for the Notre Dame game. But like I mentioned earlier, please find me, comment, subscribe, reach out, and I'll reach back. Not in a weird way. All right. Talk to you later. Go Bucks.